Good morning, friends. Welcome to another day of Almost Daily Meditations. I hope you're doing well and having a good Wednesday as you get into the middle of the week. Just reflecting back a little bit on Kelly's sermon over the weekend when she asked that question about how do you perceive her, or how do you perceive like when you ran into your teacher for the first time and realized they had a life, things like that. I ran across this really great quote by Rowan Williams. Rowan Williams is the last Archbishop of Canterbury before the one that's currently there. And he was really deep spiritual writer, just really wrote wonderful things. And he talks about that self-denial involved in the period of Lent isn't about just giving up chocolates or beer. It's about trying to give up a certain set of pictures of God, which are burned into our own self wants. It's about trying to give up certain sets of pictures of God, which are burned into our own self wants. I thought that was a really profound kind of idea about what the purpose of Lent is, and got me thinking and praying a little bit about what are my own selfish wants that I put on God. It might be that, I joke about this in sermons about praying to God for a parking spot. It's probably not something God's too interested in, and that's certainly a selfish want. But there are bigger things in that. I think sometimes even when we offer prayers in meetings or prayers and other stuff, we're hoping God will guide us in certain ways, which might be the ways that we want things to go. Or if we think about what we want God to be like for us. And I can hear this in lots of the broader conversations that happen, just outside our own faith community, but how we often project our fears, our longings, our desires that maybe aren't the best in the world onto who we think God might be. And so this hard work that we do during Lent of really diving deeper and thinking about those things. And, we have tools, we have places we can go. Scripture tells us a lot about God. Our experience in prayer tells us a lot about God. How the world works tells us a lot about God. How we maybe experience God's love through other people is certainly a way that we know about God and can discern that. But it is, I think, a worthy question for us to think about. How do we see God in certain ways? How do we limit God? How do we tie God to our own sense of selfish desires and selfish wants? And just kind of an interesting, hard question. I know I can think of several that in my own life that I'm sure I have described God, and then really trying to get that. And I love one of the things our presiding bishop always says: if it's not about love, it's not about God. And I think that even in its own discernment is about that what is love, and how do we see that this pure and perfect love that comes from God is pouring towards us in his grace. And that's often what we receive and what we are always receiving, whether we get in its way or not. So hope you have a great Wednesday. God bless, and think about how God is loving you, even beyond your selfish wants. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. remember me when you come into